This is an eBay package, and it should be fairly interesting. Well, the unpacked contents probably came from this guy here. And right off the bat, we see two heat sinks. The total contents cost was $118. These two heat sinks, 60 by 150 by 25, cost me $5 a piece. And that's these. Then we have this thing. Now all the other ones that I have of these physical layout are buck converters only. This will be my first buck boost in this form factor. I ordered one of them, cost me $13. I had to stop with the scissors because I was afraid of cutting a wire. This is a programmable frequency counter. It has a set, a up and down and OK switch. And we have some connections. We have a 9-volt DC connection here, and we've got a wire for that. Both of the wires supplied have the incorrect convention. It has a black wire on the positive side. I believe this is the input, and there's a connector provided for it. It's not marked with polarity, but I'll bet one side is ground referenced. I'll have to check the polarity on this cord. So that is this frequency counter, 100 kilohertz to 1100 megahertz. $13.80. Got a bag of red and black banana jacks, Chinese style. There's nothing you can say about them. 16 pieces of those things, probably 8 and 8 black and red, were a little more than $1 a piece. This is, to my mind, very interesting. This is a 1-pole, 8-position switch. The pole is connected to this thing, and the 8 switch positions are connected here. So it's either an 8 in, 1 out, or 1 in and 8 out. Takes 5 volts DC to power it. It's controlled with a binary switch. There's 3 positions, and they can be either 1 or 0. It has little tiny DC blocking capacitors. And I think that this would, if there were no blocking capacitors, be capable of DC to about 2 gigahertz. The blocking capacitors will actually set the lower frequency. There'll be some point where the RF doesn't pass through the blocking capacitors. I would like to use this down to broadcast band or perhaps below to switch antennas. So I may have to bridge these capacitors. And these look like 0402 size maybe. Pretty solid ground plane. So in addition to using a jumper here to select the output, I could take a DuPont connector, I believe, and connect this to a BCD output decimal input switch or TTL circuit. This will be a separate video for sure. The HMC 253 refers to the part number of this switch. And this board is actually taken from the manufacturer's recommended layout description. And it's not a 6-throw switch, it's an 8-throw switch. That's a mistake. This is correct. 8-throw switch. Costs $25. So the last thing in this package is supposed to be a 10 megahertz heated crystal oscillator with a sine wave output and a trimmer to adjust this thing to exactly 10 megahertz. It's controlled by 5 volts DC at about a half an amp. The reason for the half amp is to heat this device. So this could be a 10 megahertz shop standard. And supposedly it produces a sine wave output. So there should not be too many harmonics. Now that may be good or bad depending on what you do. And this thing cost, see, it's a 10 megahertz OCXO temperature crystal oscillator sine wave, $21.50. I'll probably do a separate video of this. I envision putting it in an enclosure with maybe a buffer amplifier. I hate to make external connections to this without some isolation. This is almost certainly a AliExpress package. So a friend of mine asked me to make some holes in some hardened sheet steel, probably 1 or 1.5 millimeter thick. I don't know how hard it is. So I ordered, now these are just twist drills. I won't use them to make the final holes. I have some carbide end mills coming from AliExpress. So these are split point I don't know if you can make out the split. Yeah, I think you can. Solid carbide drills. And the drills are mounted in the standard, what seems to be standard packaging that the Chinese use for carbide drills and mills. Looking a little closer, we can see I got a 7mm, a 6.5mm, and a 6mm drill. Nice, they're very sharp. And they're not cheap. The 7mm and the 6.5mm costs $9 a piece, while the 6mm costs $6.60. I think there was free shipping on these. This is probably a eBay package. Oh my. I don't know how many are here. These are single-sided FR4 boards. They measure just under 6 inches by just under 4 inches. And I got them from Alice. They're the same ones I opened in a previous mail video, except that these came a lot quicker. I didn't print out the eBay seller's sheet because normally they would have taken a lot longer to get here. I wasn't expecting these. I'm sure the contents was made in China, but it was shipped from a domestic shipping place. I do not believe this was transshipped. I believe it was inventoried in California. Whatever this is, there's two of them. A fuse holder with these standard automotive style fuses. I have a positive and negative terminal. It does make a difference because of these LEDs. And an assortment of plug-in fuses. (15 amp), for example. Intention is to use a power supply like this. Now this is a server power supply, but it's a multi-voltage output, not just exclusively 12 volts. You can see this power supply provides a little more than 12 volts at 30 amps, and a little more than 5 volts at 34 amps. My intention is to get rid of all these wall warts and these USB adapter type power supplies and power up a standard outlet strip that I'm going to fabricate with 12 and 5 volts. So I ordered two of these. One will be 5 volts, one will be 12 volts. Then I'll sub-feed 15 amp circuits, maybe only 4, but to my standard power outlet strip, which will hopefully be mounted about 18 inches above the working surface here on the face of one of my shelves. When I get all the parts assembled for that, I'll do a video on a low voltage power distribution system to get rid of all these wall warts. Actually, I might just double-sided tape this to the top surface of the power supply. And I'm going to probably lose this cover. This is the seller's page for this power distribution box. You can see it comes with 6 pieces of 5, 10, 15, and 20 amp fuses. It has 12 sockets. It's designed for up to 32 volts. I plan to use it at 5 volts. The LEDs may not light at 5 volts, so they may be very dim. It's free shipping, $17. I believe this to be an AliExpress package. And out of that package came 3 individual packages with different Chinese shipping or tracking numbers. So these were received by Hu Wesjing, I don't know, where he packaged them up in this package in Kentucky. So these are some knobs. I'm afraid I paid horribly for these. We'll look at the sheet when I get done with this. So these are USB-A to USB-C. And they are sort of a fabric covered cable. Strain relief, fairly nice. And a strain release on both ends, yeah. And so I had 2 of the 2027s, and I have 2 of the 2024s. This is the same thing in red. They have a different model number on them. And they look like different lengths. This is what happens when you consume ethanol. I thought they were 5 for $3.10. Actually, each knob was $3.10. I paid $41 for this package of 10 knobs, which is ridiculous. These cables, 2027s, And I'm going to say it's 1 meter long. I just unrolled it. So the other ones must be 2 meters. So the 1 meter cables cost $1.93, and I ordered 2 of them. And the 2 meter cable costs $2.58 a piece. So for these 4 cables, I paid $16.27. That's this cable here. The red cables, I believe I got 3 different lengths. Well, did I? Yes. I got 1 of each. $1.99, $2.48, and $2.65. So this package here entirely costs $7.55. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps on YouTube. Thank you.